What's up, XRPL? Welcome back to the channel. If you're watching the replay of this stream, you can go ahead and skip ahead to the 4-minute mark. That's when everything will start kicking off. I'll be welcoming people in, making sure the stream is buffered in, making sure the audio is good, making sure my voice is good, all of the things. And then we will hop into the normal stream. We'll cover ETF inflows, we'll cover the current price, what's actually happening in the market now, as well as the new news coming out. We do have CEOs talking both good and bad about XRP. There's a lot of FUD right now. So we're going to cover everything and really touch base on what's happening with XRP as a whole right now. Because again, we're here for the long view on this channel. We're not here for what the price is today. We're here for what the price is going to be a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, as far as crypto as a whole. And I center around XRP. So again, if you're catching the replay, you can go ahead and skip ahead to the 4-minute. If you're coming into the stream, I start everything at the 4-minute mark. So let me know when you guys are in here. Normally I have a couple regulars hop in right off the bat and we get started about the 4-minute mark. So I'll be welcoming people in as well. We got a lot of FUD going on right now. Lots of people talking because there's nothing going on really, unfortunately. There it goes. Make sure everything's working the way it's supposed to. But it's the end of the year. I mean, we're between Christmas and New Year's. Not really anything happening in the market. It's a lot of positioning more than anything. Live on a Saturday. Happy Saturday. Yeah, I know. Honestly, I I forgot what day it was. The holiday got me all mixed up. And as soon as I started getting ready for the stream, I was like, oh yeah, crap, it's Saturday. Normally I do a long form video on Saturday, but I do have some plans today, so I figured I might as well just keep the live stream schedule going. Hopefully it doesn't throw too many people off, Steven. But welcome nonetheless. Glad you popped in. You must have got the notification, I'm guessing. Normally that's how my regulars get in here. They get notifications. That's why I usually give it a few minutes to get started. But it's a good Saturday. It's a calm Saturday. I don't have anything going on, so it's kind of nice not to have to make a whole video. It's coming is on here. It says hi from London. Well, it's coming 589. We got a 589 supporter. So hopefully the 589 shows up this year. That'd be amazing. Jake's still fighting for it. So he says. We'll see what happens. Again, we'll get started at the 4-minute mark. Thank you for making this live. You're welcome. You're welcome, Zayda. You don't like the regular long form videos? I try to mix it up. Right? My shorts are more uppity, more bouncy, and then the long forms are more cut dry and educational, and then the live streams are just more me. They're more personality. How do we as a community combat the FUD? What did you do for Christmas, Scott? Okay. Let's see. I've got a minute, so I'll answer the Christmas. For Christmas, I went over. I didn't have my daughter for Christmas. She's at her mother's this week. I actually get her back tomorrow, so I'll have her for New Year's. So we're gonna actually do our family Christmas tomorrow. But actually, on Christmas, I went to my girlfriend's family's Christmas. It was great. Everyone got presents, dinner, the whole 9 yards. It was fantastic. So that was my dinner, and we will talk about the FUD. I'll come back to the question later. So let's see. But Zayda is in the house. It's coming. Says Jake is full of crap. Well, we kind of see you guys are already blowing up the chat. I appreciate you all, man. Let's get the chat going. Let's have a hangout today on a Saturday. No one's at work. Maybe I should do more Saturday live streams. Catch you all on the weekend and get you all in here. Ken66 says hello from Costa Mesa, California. Welcome. Costa Mesa. I'm not familiar with that. So I worked in freight. I worked in trucking for 10 years. And so I know I know so many cities and states. My American geography or United States geography is off the chain. Let's see here. And Tom said, Merry Christmas. All right, we're at the 4-minute mark, so I'll go ahead and get going on it. But keep the chat going. I'm going to come back to it after I get through all of the information. I'll answer every question, every opinion. But the way we start is I'll hop into the price, and then we'll do the ETF inflows, and then we'll do the little bit of news that we do have. And we're going to talk a lot today about FUD, utility versus sentiment, because the market is crap right now. Not just XRP, the entire crypto market is crap right now. And it's not, there's no rhyme or reason to it other than the fact it's just part of investing. We're in a consolidation period. So we're going to talk a lot about what that actually looks like on the chart, because I do think we're out of the crypto cycles. Now that institutions are involved, it's going to be more traditional. And we can actually see that happening since we've gotten to derivatives and options and futures. We can see larger spikes and volatility and candles in XRP as that liquidity is balancing out with this new money coming in. That being said, oh, I'm trying to avoid saying that being said. But moving on, we will hop into the chart. I go, wait, I forgot something, didn't I? I forgot something. Okay, so welcome everybody. If it's your first time here, kick back, relax. I'm not going to ask you to do anything, but if it's your second time, I need you to hit the like button, subscribe, and engage in the chat. The chat is the lifeblood of the stream. The way I do these streams is, again, I will start off with price, ETFs, news, and then I will come into the chat and answer every single question. I love engaging. These are more about building a community and giving you guys news than it is anything else. So without further ado, let's hop into the chart. Currently at 185, we are still chopping sideways. I mentioned that since we got, sorry, my brain, since we got options and derivatives and futures, we're seeing larger candles, not scandals, larger candles and larger volatility, right? So if you actually look, this is the 1 hour chart. We always use the 1 hour chart. You can see that we're getting much larger volatility with lower volume as opposed to what we were getting previously. I would say, when did that start going up? About mid-December. You can see we started getting these larger spikes, larger activity here once we started getting more futures and more institutions involved. But that being said, to combat FUD, when in doubt, zoom out. Look at the long view. Someone asked, how do we combat FUD in this community? Very simple. When in doubt, zoom out. If you got involved with XRP 6 years ago, say 2019, which is when probably the first wave of people really got involved, right? So in 2019, XRP was 27 cents. So if you've been holding for 6 years, if you've been holding XRP for 6 years, you're up massively. You're at 185 now. So when in doubt, zoom out and look. Every time XRP makes a move up, it consolidates down. It makes a move up, it consolidates down. It likes to move in steps. It's just how it is. It's how it's always been. If you've been around this space in a long time, people wait. You're here for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. They've been doing nothing but losing money. They're in the red right now. So again, that's nothing. 3 months, 6 months is nothing in this time. We're here for a year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, just like the internet, right? When the internet first came on and all those companies, we had a huge move. So this consolidation, again, hanging out at this 175 level that we have marked out, and it looks pretty even across the board. This seems like a very good definitive line. I mean, we had this run up here to $1.75, came back down below it, broke it, came back down, tapped it, came back up, set a new all-time high, came back down, tapped it again. And now we are consolidating right above it. So if you look at the history of XRP, this would tell us if we fall below here, we're in trouble. But if we happen to bounce off it again, that would be 1, 2, a third time. Usually that would mean a run up, right? Because this moves, when you look at patterns, they move in 5 legs. They usually move in 5 legs. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So where's 5? We're waiting on 5. Again, this is just pattern recognition, not financial advice. That's how these things usually move. So it depends. You can tell yourself with technical analysis whatever story you want to tell yourself. You really, really can. But let's move into what's actually happening in the crypto market as a whole. If someone could let me know how many people were in the stream, I'd really appreciate it. Whoa, let's see. That's year to date. That's not today. Okay. Zcash is up 17% today. Zcash has been doing amazing this year. HBAR is up 1% today. Pepe is up 3%. Algo is up 1%. Where's XRP? XRP, there it is. XRP is up 0.3%. Chainlink. So the whole market, with the exception of Zcash and a couple others, is just kind of chopping. No real activity. Nothing really going on. But let's see what actually happened yesterday. Even though it was a little bit of a weird day of trading, let's see what actually happened with the ETFs yesterday. See how we finished our 7th straight week of inflows, because we did have inflows again yesterday. So that being the case, let's see what actually came off of available supply. So we were at 111 for Franklin Templeton yesterday. Currently still at 111 million, so no change for Franklin Templeton. Let's check Grayscale. They were at 121 million, and they are currently also at 121 million, so no change for Grayscale. Canary Capital is at 176 million. Canary Capital went down to 175 million. So they did go down. I wonder, we'll have to look and actually look at the ETF inflows and outflows and see if they actually had outflows, if they broke the streak yesterday. I'll have to take a look at that. But Canary Capital did have XRP leave. They lost $1 million. That's the second time we've seen that. The first time they lost 2,000. This time I didn't actually look at the exact number, what it was before it changed. Bitwise was at 122 million, and they are currently at currently at 122, so no change for Bitwise. And then 21 shares was 135 million, and they are refreshing still at 135 million. So no change with the exception of Canary Capital losing 1 million. Let's see here. But moving on, we're going to go to what is actually in the news. This I thought was interesting. So expert says to ignore XRP short-term noise as people obsess over price, but XRP's true value lies in its utility. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? We've been talking about utility and clarity are going to set XRP free. And until then, the price is just going to be choppy. It would be based on supply and demand until there's utility. So Versan Alhara, founder of Black Swan Capitalists, has pushed back against the market's fixation on XRP's short-term price movements, arguing that the token's real value lies in utility. His comments came amid growing concern over XRP's recent price performance over the past month. XRP has fallen 16.5%, while losses over the last 3 months have deepened to 34.2%. In December alone, the token has dropped roughly 16%, with its price now hovering around $1.84. As a result, many investors have taken to social media to voice frustration over XRP's performance, even though the decline aligns with the broader market downturn. So this is the entire crypto market. It's not just XRP. He says that true value lies in XRP utility and not the short-term noise. Nonetheless, Alhara has firmly pushed back against what he sees as an excessive focus on short-term price action. According to him, XRP derives its true strength from real-world utility rather than daily market fluctuations. At the same time, he acknowledged that the price still matters, just not in a speculative context. So again, if you're here for the next 1 year, 5 years, 10 years from now, short-term price is just noise. So we have one person saying that short-term prices is just the noise, that it's going to lie in its utility. We have the CEO of, what was this? Galaxy, I believe. Mike Novogratz warns risk of XRP and Cardano, saying tokens like XRP and Cardano must move their utility or risk losing to competitors, says Novogratz. I'm going to read this. So listen to this title. You would think this title is bad for XRP, right? You would think he's saying bad things. Remember, the CEO or one of the heads of Cardano came out and was arguing about Swift and their blockchain, and that XRP and Midnight already solved its function at 100 times. This is in response to that. So he says tokens like XRP and Ripple and Cardano must demonstrate their real utility or risk losing to more successful competitors, according to Galaxy Digital CEO Mike Novogratz. Apparently, this was a thing on YouTube. I'm not going to click it. I'm not sure how long it is. But in the conversation with the head of research, Alex Thorne, the company head, noted that the crypto market is shifting from narrative-based tokens to those with a business foundation. Ripple seems to have some business foundations, if it was just me, based on all their acquisitions and partnerships that they've done over the next year or two. If that's not business foundation, I don't know what is. But he says with each market cycle, investors have more options, making it harder to maintain community engagement. Tokens that survive solely due to loyal user base will lose out to those that generate profit and provide measurable value. Novogratz emphasized, in his view, likely winners will be Bitcoin, which has already established itself as money, and protocol coins that truly become platforms for building business. Charles Hawkinson, bless him, has maintained the Cardano community despite the blockchain not being widely used. They have a strong community, as does XRP. Can they maintain it as more and more options appear? So basically he's saying, can they compete with everything coming on chain, right? Let's see here. And this goes on to say, what was it? Analysts do not bet on rapid XRP growth. So they're saying they are not expecting it. It's going to come with utility that an increase. So here's what they're saying that it needs. He refrained from predicting a specific price level for XRP, but highlighted several positive factors for the coin: approval of spot ETFs, integration with global payment systems, increased efforts to transform the token into a liquid intermediate asset. The CEO of 21 Shares Partners, Jesus Perez, also suggested a sideways trend for XRP at the start of the year. Growth potentially is likely to depend on more resilience of the narrative and market sentiment than foundational transformations, he said. So at the beginning of the year, multiple CEOs are predicting a sideways chop through January. Again, it's going to come down on the supply and demand and when real utility turns on. I don't have it pulled up here. I think I saw it on X. I'm not 100% sure, but I saw that in Q2. I don't think, oh, that's right. I looked at the article, it was for Q2. But in Q2, XRP did over 1.3 trillion worth of transactions in XRP through their liquidity OTC. So they are using XRP. Let's look at XRP scan. I'm going to pull that up because when we're talking about utility, we actually have to look at what's happening on the ledger because it's I mean that's what we're looking at. That's what we want to see. That's what utility is. What's actually happening on ledger. That is the definition of it. So if we go to XRP scan, pull it up here for you guys so you can see what it actually looks like when you first do it up. You can look up, you go to XRP scan and you can see exactly what's happening on the validated ledgers. You can see everything going on the XRP ledger as it's happening. What's burned, transactions per second. Currently it's at 19.52. Like this is what's actually happening on the XRP ledger. Transactions, 1,358,000 successful payments. Like how, like what is this? I don't know. But that being said, we'll go to the metrics. So when we actually look at what's happening on XRP ledger, you can go through and look at metrics. This is the number of payments from one account to another, and you can track what it's actually doing throughout the year. You can see if it's going up or down. Now, what I was pointing out, we go to transaction types. Come on now. We go to transaction types. You have payments. You have account deletions. If we continue to go down to account sets, this is the thing that I think is the coolest because this is what they are setting up to get ready to use. Like this is accounts getting set up, right? That's what account set means. So accounts getting set up on the XRP ledger. If you look at this chart, look at this bottom line here. This is all time on the XRP ledger, this bottom area right here that I'm moving the mouse around. Look at what's happened in the last 3 months. This is actually last 2 months. This is the beginning of November right here. So in the last 2 months, we did more. This goes up to 40,000 account sets. Each one of these ticks is a day, 37, 40, and then over here, massive amounts of 40. And then we have more going on live right now. I mean, even today or yesterday, today, December 27th. So as of right now, today, we have created 31,635 like account set permissions. These are people coming online to start using the XRP ledger. If you look at this bottom chart, there has been more account set activity in the last 45 days than has happened in the history of XRPL. What are they about to turn on? Like, that's why I'm talking about utility. Okay, I understand the price is $1.85, but that's why we talk about the long view. We're not here for what the price is today, tomorrow, a week from now. We're here for what that is going to turn into in a year, 5 years, 10 years from now. That's me. That's the long view. But that's all the news I got for you. So let's hop into the chat. I want to talk to every single one of you. Thank you for taking time out of your Saturday. And let's see what we are working with here. Steven was surprised I was live on a Saturday. I normally do just a long video on a Saturday as opposed to an actual live stream. Let's see here. It's coming 589 is from London. And again, if you guys engage in the chat, have questions, thoughts, opinions, theories, I'll be glad to discuss any theory or thought with you, other cryptos possibly. I just want to talk to you guys. That's what the chat is for. Let's see here. Zeta says, thank you for making this live. Zeta likes the live streams versus the videos. Okay. Kristen says, how do we as a community combat the FUD? And what did I do for Christmas, Mr. Scott? So as a community, the best way to combat the FUD is to try to look at it from a larger perspective. When in doubt, zoom out. I mean, think about it. In 10 years, we've gone from 20 cents to, $2. So, I mean, in 6 years, we've gone from 29 cents to $1.85, and we've had a lot of waves in between. If you look at that compared to a traditional investment, that you're doing fantastic. If someone told you you were going to 10x your investment in 6 years, traditionally before crypto came around, everyone would think that was an amazing return. So, I mean, the best way to combat the FUD is to try to dismiss the get rich quick pump scheme and get people back to a more traditional way of thinking with delayed gratification. And that investment and wealth building takes time. We're not, I mean, if you want to try to win the lottery, you could win the lottery, but more people lose that way than win. Just let's be real about it. That's the best way to combat the FUD is to, I think, try to deliver a more mature approach to crypto. Truthfully. And Zyda said they got the notification for coming in the stream today, so that's good. It's coming 589 says Jake is full of crap. He seems like a genuine guy, but so do wolves in sheep's clothing. I mean, you're not wrong about that. It's really hard to trust who's truthful and who's playing you for a scam. And I mean, especially with AI, it's so hard to tell what's real and what's not. And then people come in on YouTube and say anything they want to get clicks. And yeah, it's created a really bad environment for a lot of people. A lot of people have lost money for it. I'm trying to create something different. So thank you for joining the channel. Thank you for being in the comments and in the chat. And yeah, we're trying to build something different here as something real that's not gonna cost people money, hopefully. Ken66 says hello from Costa Mesa, California. Tom Chale said Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, Tom. Zyda said it would have been nice to have more lives, or it said it would be nice to have more lives on Saturdays. Okay. Well, so originally my plan was to keep doing the video on Saturdays, and I was going to do a members only live stream on Saturdays when I unlocked membership. So that was kind of why I was leaving Saturdays open, was because I planned on doing a members only live stream in the future on Saturdays when I do unlock memberships, which I could. I just haven't done it yet. Again, if you've caught my streams, I'm not trying to get your all's money. Let's see here. Desiree, excuse me, said I was down for years until I wasn't. You don't lose if you don't sell. Well, I mean, the only way you lose is if you sell when you're down, right? If an unrealized loss is still not a realized loss. Give it time. Time can heal all wounds and all investments. But that is a good point. Matt says, any thoughts on whether silver taking off could impact XRP? I think silver's taking off. I think some of that, and this is going to sound really weird, I think some of silver taking off is FOMO. Now, I understand we have a lot of liquidity and we have a lot of liquidity getting ready to be pumped in with, quantitative tightening ending and stealth easing kind of happening with the short-term treasury bill buys and rate cuts. So that does help precious metals. But right now, with how much silver has spiked and ran, and there's a lot of what's the word? There's a lot of videos around it. There's a lot of hype. There you go. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. There's a lot of hype around silver right now. I've heard more people talk about silver in the last 2 months than I have in my entire life. No, that's not even a joke. I have literally heard more people talk about silver in the last 2 months than I have in my entire life. So I do believe there's a little bit of FOMO in silver right now. That could be a good thing or a bad thing. So really, I'm worried there's going to be a pullback in silver just because of how much it's run up. I think what we're looking at is FOMO in silver, hype in silver, essentially. My opinion, not financial advice. I'm not going to say silver is a bad investment, but at these prices, I'm not buying any right now. That's just me. I have silver that I bought a while ago, but no, I'm not doing it right now. And could it have an impact on XRP? Yeah, it absolutely could. I would love for silver to crash. I mean, I do own silver, but as silver crashed, I think it's going to rotate into things like XRP and more risk assets. Usually when people are getting out of silver and gold is when the dollar is strengthening and people are more willing to get into risk assets. And I do think with a liquidity injection, we'll see a rotation into some of those risk assets probably at the end of mid to end Q1, early Q2, like into January, beginning of February, somewhere into March, I think. Again, not financial advice. I'm basing it on my math model and supply. And also clarity potentially coming out in January. The DAT reclassifications potentially happening in January. January is going to be a busy month. A lot's going to happen in January. I'm really excited to see what it's going to do to the markets, how the markets are going to react. But I do think there's a lot of positive catalysts coming in January for the markets. Again, my opinion, not financial advice. So that's my thoughts on silver. It absolutely could go into XRP, but I think that the pump on silver right now has a lot to do with FOMO and hype. There's just so much hype on silver at the moment. Um, Tool Ralph said XRP chart mirrors Bitcoin chart almost every day. When will this change? When utility turns on, when there's a supply shock, when there is something that separates XRP as a speculative asset. We've started to see, I understand that the price is still following Bitcoin, but we're starting to see institutional rotation in XRP via the ETFs. There have been multiple days of outflows of Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs while XRP maintained consistent inflows. That is rotation. It's just not showing up in the price because all that's being done OTC, dark pools, until the supply shrinks enough to cause an appreciation, which is mathematically what we were looking for. It said about 5 to 10% of the supply would spark a 20 to 40% appreciation. And that should be imminent based on the mathematical model. But again, the mathematical model is based on 5 billion in supply. So what's truly in supply, we don't actually know. We do know that 24 million XRP a day is being removed from supply and locked up into ETFs. We have that for certain. So really, when will it decouple? When utility and clarity come about. I think we might like see it decouple in the price starting in January, February, March, like end of January, beginning of February, March at the latest, I think. Again, not financial advice. I'm not making price predictions, but based on my mathematical model, that's what I'm thinking. And clarity and DAT reclassifications could hurt Bitcoin. All of those things. Let's see here. Zaida said, yes, we've been talking about utility. Always utility. Utility is going to be the key for XRP. It really is. They got to use it. The more they use it, the more value comes onto the ledger. And if we're trying to get value into XRP to raise the price, it needs to have value on the ledger. So the more value we get on the XRP ledger and the more it actually gets used is going to increase the price. Again, my opinion, not financial advice. The appreciation will ultimately lie in the utility. I fully agree with that. Stephen Haynes says, if Ripple goes public, do you think that would affect the price of XRP? Yeah, I do. If Ripple goes public, I think it will affect the price of XRP. Initially, I think we will see a small sell-off of XRP because a lot of XRP holders are going to sell and buy Ripple stock. So I plan on buying Ripple stock, but I don't plan on selling my XRP. But I do know that some people will sell their XRP and buy Ripple stock. So because of that, I think there will be a slight sell-off when they do go live. However, in the long run, I think it will help XRP because all it's going to do is lock Ripple as a more, what's the word? Not coherent, credible. It'll lock Ripple as a more credible company, more so than it already is. And as long as they maintain their use of XRP and their ties to XRP, it will have a positive benefit for XRP. But I do think at first people will sell a lot of XRP to buy Ripple stock. Just my opinion. Let's see here. Raul said, good afternoon. I got in here late today. There's 20 people in the stream. All right, hey, 20 people for the second day after Christmas. I expect it to be slow, especially since there's nothing going on in the market. So I appreciate you all taking time out of your day to be here. Can you provide a prediction for each quarter of 2026? Asked Harik. So again, I don't like doing price predictions, but what I think we'll start seeing based on supply, if we keep getting the supply flows and we keep getting liquidity injected into the market, we should see an increase mathematically between 20 and 80% by mid-February. If we get clarity, DAT reclassifications, and I think we'll be able to make better predictions for 2026 once January is over. Because I think we'll get clarity in January. We're gonna have the potential DAT reclassification in January. We'll be able to see we'll have an announcement on who the new Fed chair is going to be, and we'll have a better idea of what's going to happen with liquidity and rate cuts. January is going to be pivotal. January will be pivotal. I can't talk, man. January is going to be pivotal in all this, big time. So I'll tell you what, I think January we're going to have an increase of 20 to 80%, and get back to me on the rest of it once we know what happens in January. Because we're going to have so much, like, my thoughts are going to change based on what happens in January. So I don't want to give you something and then walk it back. But I do think we're going to have an appreciation between beginning of January to mid-February of 20 to 80% based on the supply math that we've been following. Will gold and silver crash anytime soon? The only thing that's going to cause gold and silver to crash is an extreme strengthening of the dollar or the extreme strengthening of some other commodity. Don't know what that commodity would be or what would cause it to strengthen so much. But if there is another universal commodity for some reason, there might be certain Asian countries talking about adopting certain cryptos for their, to put their entire economy on that we've talked about, right? Japan talking about tokenizing everything on XRP. Once we start getting like RL yen, RL euro, and we can start using XRP for cross-border remittances like it's intended to be, like really it's going to come down to adoption. And Ripple has a very, very large footprint in Asia. They're like this in Singapore, they're like this in Japan. So I really think that Ripple and XRP's rise up is going to start in Asia. I don't think it's going to start in the United States, which is really, really sad considering they're a United States-based company, but they've got way too much roots, regulation, and adoption already happening in the Asia market. So if Japan were to come out and deem XRP a fundamental part of their infrastructure, I could see a rotation from gold and silver crashing to something like XRP. Absolutely. Or another currency, or, it would take something else to come online to start causing that rotation for it to completely crash, and the dollar would have to strengthen. Let's see here. Hopefully that answers your question. Zeta says, when we involve emotions and expectations, any news take a signifying meaning that the price will explode. XRP is doing what it's supposed to do as a utility coin. I'm holding for the long run. Again, right. So what you're saying is absolutely perfect. It's a utility coin. So Ripple's news should not impact the price. If it did, it would be a security of Ripple. So once, Ripple does do their IPO and you can buy Ripple stock and, you hear news about acquisitions and things like that, Ripple stock's going to go through the roof. That's why they got this multi-billion-dollar evaluation, and they have hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of private investors coming in the Ripple. There's talks about them doing an IPO in 2026, but I really don't know why they would. They don't need to. I mean, it would be good for XRP in the long run, but I hope they do because I want to buy that stock. But I don't think they really need to. They're doing fine without it, but they are talking about it in 2026. So again, they are a utility coin. The representation of XRP's value should be based on the ledger. What's being used on the ledger. That's what we want. Because that way, when everything gets tokenized and moves on ledger and trillions of value, it's going to be running through XRP. That's what we want. So I completely agree with you, Zeta. Matt said, apparently silver's actual demand and supply, no physical available for delivery. Exactly. So when you're buying silver, on Robinhood, you're not like holding silver. It's just people do that with leverage too. Okay. People buy and sell gold ETFs, futures, silver ETFs, futures. So that's why it's super exciting when XRP starts getting these and when Bitcoin starts getting these. They're saying it's a stable asset in our infrastructure, just like gold or silver. But yeah, 1,000,000% agree that it's very much leveraged, just like any other asset. It's not, gold and silver aren't going through the roof because people are hoarding more gold and silver. It's going through the roof because people are investing on it speculatively. Let's see here. Harik said, can we monitor Korean and Japanese XRP holdings? No, not specifically. You can only go in and look at the wallets. So if you can find out like what wallet, goes to what exchange and things like that, but they can keep their wallets private. You don't know who actually holds, you don't know what Japan's government's wallet actually is on the XRP ledger. That would be really cool if we could be able to see which governments are loading up on which, but that's part of the beauty of blockchain. That's one of the reasons why they like it. We don't know whose wallet that is that holds 100 million XRP. You know what I mean? It would be nice to know. It would be like point out and be, oh, that's Japan sitting over there with that 100 million XRP. They must be about to do something. I would love to be able to do that. Let's see here. Harik said, let me get back here. What countries are actively invested in XRP? Well, we know they have partnerships in Africa, Europe, the UK, Sweden, because they just partnered with Amina Bank. They're partnered with Santander, SBI. I mean, SBI is heavy, the second largest bank in Japan. They've got approval from the MAS, which is the Monetary Authority of Singapore, to do full transactions in that corridor. Brazil, they're tied in with. Who else? I'm forgetting. I know I'm forgetting more, but they're partnered with over 300 banks in over 75 different countries. RippleNet is. That doesn't mean all of those are using XRP right now. That's why we need clarity. That's why we need adoption. It's setting up. That's why I keep saying the account sets are important. I feel like it's just setting up. It's getting ready. It's needed clarity before it could get used. I mean, that SEC lawsuit really hurt Ripple for like 5 years, because everything runs on the American dollar and the American government. So unless US is willing to be on board, these other, countries can't use it the way they want to use it even. So again, my opinion, not financial advice. And again, nothing on these streams is financial advice. This is here for education and entertainment purposes only. I'm presenting you the information so you can come up with your own opinion, do your own research. Kristen Anderson said, if XRP and crypto as a whole blasts off, how do you think that would affect the rest of the world who didn't invest in it? Catastrophic. It depends on how it goes about. Truthfully, there's so many theories and most of them are garbage, and you guys know that. Like, the thought that there'd be like a global internet outage or something like that for a period of like a week. Think about it. If the internet went out for a week, the world would come to a screeching halt. Then they could, say, oh, we need to do this for security purposes, or we need to do this for safety purposes. Like, I feel like that's how digital ID is going to start getting into things. Unfortunately, now I'm getting purely speculative here, guys. But so when you're talking about catastrophic for other people, if they print the US dollar into oblivion and it's inflation based, which is a very real possibility, but if they print the dollar into oblivion and those people who didn't get into crypto go broke, while the crypto people essentially rise to the top, because that would mean a handful of us normal people would be the wealthy and everyone else would be poor. So if there's a complete quick switch in crypto, yeah, a lot of people are going to get left behind, and it'll create a very large wealth gap, larger than what we have now. And the people who didn't get involved and who didn't educate early, who catch on 5, 6, 7 years from now, it's going to be too late. It'll be the people like us who planned ahead for our children and started talking about it early, who were early to the party. It'll be like a flip in the wealth gap almost. Again, that's a possibility, not financial advice, but if we're just speculating, theorizing on what could happen in these scenarios, that's the way it could be catastrophic. But at the same time, like I only see them doing something chaos and catastrophic. I think it'll be controlled. I still think it'll be controlled by the government. I only see them doing something chaos and catastrophic if they're trying to push like digital IDs or force something on people that they're not ready for or don't want. I could see that be like taking some kind of catastrophe to force the hand. Again, not financial advice. Ripple is in the US government. Yeah, we've seen Brad Garlinghouse with Trump and JD Vance, and who else from Ripple's been over there at the White House a ton. The guy from Evernorth now has been over there a lot lately. So yeah, they are heavily involved. Definitely. Let's do a recap though. We've gone through the entire chat. If you have any more questions, comments, thoughts, we can talk. We'll keep this going as long as everyone's active. But if someone can let me know how many people are in the stream, I'd really appreciate it. But for now, let's hop into a recap. We covered the price. We're currently sitting at 185. We said in order to deal with FUD, when in doubt, zoom out. XRP likes to move in steps. You can see it every single time. They rally up, go down, rally up, go down, rally up, go down. 175 is our hold line. We can see it here. We tapped up here back in 2021, right? 2021, April 2021, we tapped $1.75 before we came back down. and we consolidated all the way down to this price. And then we shot up to a new all-time high, right, in 2024. And we consolidated down. And then a new all-time high, and we consolidated down. If XRP likes to move in legs, this $1.75 level is going to be crucial. A triple tap off this level would be good. We're still waiting for our fifth leg. Again, not financial advice, but it looks like clear consolidation. And if we look at today, so far today, the market's just chopping. Again, we're still having tax sales, things like that. People are balancing their portfolios for the end of the year. We're probably not going to see any major news in regards to any crypto really, or legislation until the beginning of next year, probably, second week of January, after everything starts coming online again after the holidays. Seems like everything slows down and stops from December 20th to like January 15th. We talked about ETFs. So far, there was no change. The only change we had in ETFs was Canary Capital went down 1 million in their ETF. They're now at 175 million. Don't know why, but that was our first day we saw a real outflow. We saw this drop one time, 2,000 XRP, but this one actually dropped a million. So I need to go back and look and see what our inflows were for Friday, or outflows for that matter for Friday. But I really, really do think this is going to continue to go up next year. I think we're going to have a large rotation into crypto ETFs at the beginning of the year once the liquidity pumps in. Again, my opinion, not financial advice. Bitwise was still holding at 122, and 21 shares was 135 million. We're at almost 700 million XRP locked up into physical trust of these ETFs. That is not nothing. So from November 13th to December 27th, 700 million XRP gone, locked up, not circulating. We talked about FUD. We talked a lot about FUD today. We talked about utility versus sentiment. Right now, the price is reflecting sentiment. It's not reflecting utility. Currently, the entire market is down. We're in a period of extreme fear. We have people from, black swan capitalists saying one thing, while we have CEOs from people, from Galaxy, whatever, that we don't even know, saying another. There's 20 million stories coming from 20 million directions, and none of them mean nothing. Truthfully, what matters? What matters is what's taking place on the XRP ledger. What matters is that account sets are getting set up, transactions are increasing. Okay, these are the things that matters. AMM going live on XRPL, native lending going live on XRPL. All of these things are happening and been announced in the last month. These are going to lock up XRP, and it's going to create more value for XRP. Don't forget about Wormhole and interoperability with RLUSD. That's going to create a flywheel effect for XRP. As soon as we start getting things like RL Yen, RL Euro, when we start doing FX remittances, then we're going to start talking about XRP being used as a real bridge asset. So that is all the information. Looks like the chat has died down. I appreciate every single one of you taking time out of your Saturday to hang out here with me today. And without further ado, I'll catch you guys on Monday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, all right? Later.